I never thought a single night of sheltering twin girls would uncover a heartbreaking secret. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The howling wind outside matched the storm roiling in my chest. I had just lost my job. My bank account was running low, and hope felt like a distant memory. Then there they were, twins, no older than 8, standing at my door with wide, frightened eyes. Their names were Lily and Rose, and instantly, a strange feeling washed over me. These girls, drenched and trembling, seemed stitched from a different world, their fragile frames framed by the shadows of the night. The way they clasped each other's hands, as if afraid to let go, tugged at something deep inside me. Their hair was damp and knotted, and their clothes hung off their skinny bodies like cast-off rags. It made me want to sweep them up in my arms and keep them safe. Please, can we stay? Lily whispered, her voice barely a crackle above the wind. As I nodded, I felt the weight of their vulnerability settling in my own bones, a heaviness that sent chills racing down my spine. I led them inside. The old house creaked, its secrets whispering through the walls. They settled onto the couch, eyes scanning every inch of their surroundings with a mix of fear and curiosity. I tried my best to comfort them, but I couldn't shake the sensation that we were all trapped in some kind of darkened web. The night closing in around us. As the hour grew late, I noticed something peculiar. They avoided looking at each other, exchanging glances that seemed loaded with unspoken words. And then, there it was, a glimmer beneath a pile of blankets. A small box, hidden away, a dull metallic glint catching my eye. "What's in there?" I asked, a strange electric tingle stirring in my stomach. At the sound of my voice, they froze. The silence stretched, heavy and thick, like fog rolling in. I half expected them to leap up and run, but they simply locked eyes, as if standing on the precipice of something unimaginable. Finally, Rose spoke, her voice trembling. It's something we shouldn't have." She swallowed hard, a lump forming in her throat. I took a step closer, heart pounding. "What do you mean?" The word secret hung in the air, like a gunshot in the stillness. Did they have something dark and dangerous? Were they on the run? A memory flickered through my mind, of whispers I'd overheard at the grocery store, of girls missing in the neighborhood. "Tell me," I urged, my own voice a desperate plea, cutting into the silence. But before they could answer, the lights flickered, then went out entirely. Darkness swallowed us whole. I felt the girls jump beside me, their breath catching in the pitch black. Then, something else, a faint rustling from the corner of the room. I turned, but the room was silent again, save for the rapid beating of my heart. "What was that?" I whispered. The twins exchanged terrified looks, their cheeks pale in the darkness. "Shoo," Lily shushed, a shudder in her voice. "You shouldn't have asked." And just like that, I felt a chill creeping up my spine. What were they hiding? I could almost sense the weight of their secret pressing down on me, like a mountain poised to tumbling down. The air crackled with tension, and I knew this night was only the beginning. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The darkness felt alive, wrapping around us like a cold, suffocating blanket. I glanced at the twins, their small bodies radiating tension, and I fought against the urge to comfort them, when all I truly felt was the encroaching sense of dread. Just then, the front door rattled with a fierce gust of wind, giving me an excuse to break the silence. "It's just the wind," I tried to assure them, though my voice quaved as much as theirs. In that moment, I was a flimsy wall against a hurricane of unease, standing between them and truths I could barely grasp. The sudden burst of uncertainty gnawed at me, and I reached for the flashlight I kept in the kitchen drawer. When I flicked it on, the beam cut through the darkness, illuminating their frightened faces. "Let's talk." "Well, be okay," I urged, trying to sound steady even as doubt draped around me. In response, the twins huddled closer, their hands tightening around each other. Rose's face was a mask of sorrow, and for a moment, I could see flickers of something deeper in her eyes, a pain I couldn't fathom but wished desperately to assuage. "Can we trust you?" Lily's voice was barely audible, like leaves whispering in an autumn breeze. The question twisted in my gut, a solemn weight. They were asking me for something I wasn't sure I was equipped to give. "Trust is built, not given," I said carefully. "You can share what you feel safe sharing." "I want push." I meant it. If there were shadows in their past, I wouldn't force them to bring them to light, not in this darkened room. Rose bit her lip, hesitating as though choosing the right path on a broken compass. "We have to go back soon, before they find us," she murmured, her eyes shifting toward the door. Her trembling words unleashed a tide of questions. Who were they? What danger lurked outside? And most chilling of all, what was it that made it impossible for these innocent children to feel safe even within the confines of my home? "We can't," Lily whispered, shaking her head vehemently. "If we go out there, we'll be caught." The panic rippling off her steadied my resolve. I couldn't allow fear to dominate here. The silence stretched again, thick with layered fears. Without a heart to fight against, there were merely details drifting in the ether: the creaks of a house settling, the flickers of an old lamp somewhere in the quiet neighborhood outside. But I refused to let this moment break me or break them. Juggling uncertainty in this dim sanctuary, something flickered in my mind like the beam of my flashlight: hope. Why don't we find something to do together? I tried, voicing the idea even as confusion clouded my own thoughts. Maybe a story, or a game. My own unease echoed back, but I needed to lighten the ambience in some small way. To my surprise, Rose's face brightened, just a fraction. "Can you read to us?" she asked shyly. The urge to comfort them swelled inside me, pushing against the panic rising in my throat. I nodded, feeling like an anchor amidst the storm. With the flashlight guiding the way, I rummaged through the shelves, revealing an assortment of worn books. "How about this one?" I asked, holding up a tattered copy of Peter Pan. The girls exchanged glances, curiosity sparking beneath the surface. As I began to read, words poured from my mouth like waves crashing against the shore. I watched as the tension in their shoulders eased, just a bit, as they were swept away into a world where dreams were limitless and danger was but a distant thought. Their eyes widened with each turn of the page, and little by little, the secret they bore became less suffocating beneath the weight of fantasy. Just as we reached the climax of Peter's adventure, when Captain Hook's ship loomed near, there was a sudden loud knock at the door. The sound was heavy, deliberate, sending a pulse of dread right through the room. "Who is it?" I breathed, my heart racing again. The twins froze, their wide eyes reflecting fear. I think," Lily whispered, trembling in place. Before I could respond, the doorknob rattled violently, and the sound of voices drifted through, a mixture of urgency and purpose that sent flares of panic through my veins. "We know you're in there. Open up." The voice was demanding, a ripple of authority tearing at the seams of our fragile night. In that moment, with my heart pounding in sync with their terrified breaths, I felt an icy realization cloak me: whatever secret the twins carried, whoever was outside, both were hurtling toward an inevitable collision, and I was caught in the middle of it. The walls around me seemed to close in as the voices outside clamored for attention, slicing through the remnants of tranquility like a jagged edge. The twins clutched one another tighter, the pulse of their fear resonating with my own. "What do we do?" Rose's voice quivered, and I could see the shadows that flickered in her eyes, shadows that spoke of a reality more frightening than we were prepared to confront. "Stay quiet," I whispered, hoping that my words would provide a shield against the tempest brewing outside. I wanted to believe that silence could protect us, that perhaps they would lose interest and leave. The knock came again, heavier this time, accompanied by a sense of urgency that made my skin crawl. "Please," I thought to myself, "just let us be." It was a selfish hope, but at that moment, yearning for safety eclipsed everything else. "Be brave," I said to the twins, though I wasn't sure if it was meant for them or myself. I turned to the kitchen, attempting to invent a distraction, something more substantial than a heartbeat masking fear. I grabbed the old radio from the counter, its face scratched and faded. When I clicked it on, a crackle filled the air, and I hastily tuned it, hoping to drown out the pressures that clamored at our door. The faint sound of music seeped through the air, a mellow jazz tune that felt like an embrace on the edge of chaos. I let the rhythm wash over us, wishing that it could insulate us from the turmoil. I could see the stress-etching lines on the twins' foreheads begin to soften slightly, and even among the tension, they responded to the music in small, tentative ways. "Shoo," I urged, glancing toward the door. I held my breath, praying the noise would buy us time. But the doorframe shuddered as another urgent knock rang out, plunging us deeper into a pocket of fear. "This is futile." A male voice raised up from outside, sharp and commanding. "Open this door now. We won't ask again." There was an edge to his tone, something hardened and relentless that twisted within me, igniting a flame of defiance. What would happen if I did? "There might be time," I murmured, conflicted. Time was never a luxury, but perhaps flickers from our sanctuary could become weapons against their relentless need to intrude. Rose's fingers tightened around my wrist. "What if they take us? What if they're not here to help?" Her eyes bore into mine, reflecting doubt that cut deeper than any knife. I wanted to reassure her, to tell her that not all who knocked at doors were villains. Yet, I could not shake the weight of truth pressing on my chest, the gnawing fear that whatever was hunting them might find us, too, hidden away under the guise of hope. What if we never escape? Lily's voice was a whisper, but it echoed like the toll of a distant bell. I felt the tremors coursing through her small body, and my heart sank. In their innocent questions lay the raw ache of resilience shattered by reality. "I won't let them take you," I replied, my voice hoarse but resolute. "I will find a way." Even as the words tumbled out of my mouth, I felt the threads of my conviction unraveling. This was no fairy tale, we were but three souls thrust together by fate, contending with shadows long and deep. Then, loud footsteps broke through the music, marching toward the back of the house. The other door. My breath caught in my throat like an actual stone as I shot a glance toward the window, the thin slices of moonlight illuminating the edges of desperation that the panes couldn't obscure. "Through here," I whispered, grabbing the twins' hands, desperation fueling my movements. I led them down the dim corridors toward the back. "We need to hide." My decision hung in the air, heavy and uncertain, a leap into the unknown. We didn't have time to question where this path would lead us, instinct propelled us forward. As we slipped into the closet nestled in the hallway, the darkness enveloped us again, a cocoon of fear and hope intertwined. "Please," I murmured softly, cradling the twins against my chest, "stay quiet." I could feel their tiny heartbeats against me, rapid and frantic, mirroring my own as the sounds of the house enveloped us, house doors slamming shut, heavy footsteps thudding through the rooms, and the unmistakable creak of boundaries being breached. Then came a fleeting moment of stillness, and I could hear the steady pulse of my own breath mingling with theirs as we pressed ourselves closer together in that close space. The weight of the world felt too great, reality reverberated through me like thunder rolling across distant plains. Then, a shocking revelation vibrated through the air, forcing its way into the cracks of our sanctuary, the texture of fear now blending with a chilling realization. "They found something," a voice echoed from the front of the house, sharp and unsettling. "We can't leave them." And as I tucked the twins' heads deeper into my chest, shielding them from the truth that lurked just outside our cloister, I felt the walls shifting around me. A knot twisted in my stomach. Whoever was outside was just as determined to unearth what lay hidden within. What danger had we inadvertently invited, and what secrets of our own lurked in the dark? The air inside the closet thickened with tension, each breath becoming an echo of the whispers of dread that pressed against us. I could hear the faint rustle of clothing followed by the low hum of voices, muffled but charged with intent. The twins clenched my hands tighter, a lifeline in this swirling storm of uncertainty. "Do you think they found Mama?" Lily whispered, her voice trembling as she pulled slightly away, her eyes gleaming with unshed tears. The question hung in the air like a dagger, piercing through the fragile illusion of safety we had constructed. "Maybe they're just looking for something else," I said, forcing my voice to remain steady, though the tremors of doubt clawed at my resolve. I couldn't bear the thought of them being taken away, of losing them to the chaos outside those closet doors. The primal instinct to protect surged within me, and I squeezed their hands tighter, hoping to transfer some of that strength. Outside, the thuds grew louder, each bang a testament to their relentless pursuit. "Spread out," a voice ordered, and it sliced through the darkness like a knife. My heart raced. They were coming closer, and with every footstep, the weight of the unknown bore down heavily on my shoulders. Suddenly, there was silence. The kind of stillness that reverberated with anticipation, as if the world itself had paused to catch a breath. I dared to lean forward, straining to listen through the crack, praying for guidance or at least the semblance of hope. Then, a new voice broke through the silence, laced with urgency yet softer, almost a plea. "We need to be smart about this. They're scared, we can't scare them away," it urged, seemingly directed toward the others. "Safe or not, we need them out of here." The sharpness of the retort nearly made me jump, discordant anger rippling through the atmosphere, more tangible than the darkness enveloping us. In that moment, I could almost feel the small walls of the closet shrinking further, suffocating me with the weight of reality. My thoughts raced to what lay beyond the safety of these four walls. Who were they? Allies or enemies? Part of me wanted to believe that kindness still flourished somewhere, but the relentless grasp of fear held me captive. Just then, I felt a gentle squeeze on my hand. It was Rose, her small face just inches away from mine in the dim light. "What if they're here to help?" she ventured, her voice steady, still holding a thread of innocence despite the fear that gnawed at our edges. Her belief could have sparked a flicker of hope if I hadn't seen the shadows lurking outside, threatening to take that hope away before it could bloom. "Maybe," I replied cautiously, though my heart echoed a cacophony of no. It was naive to think they might have come to save us. We were the secret, we were the reason someone was outside our sanctuary, stomping through the remnants of a life that once held safety. Then, just when I thought the oppressive silence would stretch on forever, the heavy sound of footsteps approached our door once more. My breath hitched, and I held the twins even closer. A knock, firm and resonating, shattered the stillness like glass breaking underfoot. "Enough games." The commanding voice rang out, laced with urgency and something darker frustration. "Please," the softer voice spoke again, this time cracking with emotion. "We're not here to harm them. We just need to." The words were swallowed by a sudden volley of heavy footsteps, and a chorus of urgent murmurs erupted just outside our hiding place. I glanced at the twins, their eyes wide with fear, searching for the calm within the storm. I needed to remain their anchor, but the loss of control swelled within my chest. What if we were all trapped, ensnared by forces beyond our understanding? Moments later, I heard the closet door rattle ominously, my heart hammering as I braced for whatever transformation might occur. In that instant, a feeling washed over me, an eerie sense that we had already been found. Just then, everything around us shifted as if sensing the impending resolution to our turmoil. The air buzzed with an electricity that whispered of revelations yet to come, of truths that had remained buried beneath layers of fear and deception. "Open the door." The voice was insistent now, pounding down the final barrier before us, and in that heartbeat of time, I caught a glimpse of a figure through the crack. It wasn't just any figure, it was a woman, face partially obscured but muscles taut with purpose. The world slowed, and as if transported to the edge of a cliff, I felt poised to either take a leap of faith or plummet into the abyss of what lay ahead. "Please," that voice broke through again, its gentle plea somehow rising above the chaos. "Trust me. I promise I won't let anything happen to you." Her words beckoned with the weight of promise, and just like that, the enormity of the decision loomed before me, shrouded in shadow. Perhaps we could find solace, perhaps there lay a chance for escape from the maze that had held us captive for too long. But who was she? Could I trust her? "Step back." The authority shouted again, each command striking like knuckles rapping against my resolve. Suddenly, the door flung open, and in that moment, time unfurled in unexpected ways. I held my breath, heart in my throat, as the figure stood there, revealing not only a face I recognized but also a haunting secret that sent shockwaves through my core. Your mother. I'm here to take you to her. And there it was, a thread spun from the fabric of fractured past, hanging precariously in the balance, inviting me to make the choice of a lifetime, to dive deeper into the mystery unfolding before us, or retreat into the shadows we had grown all too familiar with. The shadows cast by the doorway felt like a theater stage, and the womanly mother's face illuminated by the flickering light stood as the leading act. The flicker of uncanny familiarity in her features filled me with a paradoxical mix of warmth and trepidation. I had imagined this moment countless times, each scenario drenched with hope and haunting nostalgia, yet now that it lay before me, reality felt unbearably different. Lily, Rose, stay behind me, I instinctively commanded, setting my resolve while attempting to shield the twins from this bittersweet revelation. Their eyes mirrored mine, wide and glistening with unshed questions. What are you doing here? I forced the words through a throat constricted by disbelief. I had to find you. There's no time to explain, she trembled, eyes darting back to the shadows gathering around her like a vortex. Please, I need you to trust me. Trust. The word hung in the air, laden with the weight of betrayal that loomed heavily in my heart. You vanished without a word. Why should we believe you now? The sharpness of my voice belied the turmoil within, but the thought of the twins behind me steadied my resolve. I had learned hard lessons about trust, and my mother's disappearance gnawed at that very pillar. No. You need to come with me. She pleaded, desperation carving deep lines across her brow. They're closing in. You're not safe here. Let me explain everything later, just please. Her voice quivered, and for a fleeting moment, I saw the mother I had longed for, the one who would envelop us in warmth and comfort. My heart, torn between longing and hesitance, faltered. The twins peeked from behind my back, their innocent faces a reminder of everything I needed to protect. Is she our mama, like the one in the stories? Rose whimpered, the bravery in her innocent curiosity breaking through the gravity of the moment. Yes, it's me. My mother choked out, reaching a hand toward them. I loved you, I still love you, and I would do anything to keep you safe. Then tell us the truth. I interrupted, breaking the spell of nostalgia with biting uncertainty. Why did you leave? Why now? Each question pulled us deeper into a cavern of family secrets that twisted like a dark vine around my heart that I didn't want to leave, she whispered, anguish scraping through her words. The shadows shifted, pushing against the edges of our moment like a wave that refused to recede. I did it to protect you, to keep you safe. I nearly shouted, remembering the night spent in fear of the whispers that danced through the walls of our old home. You call this safe? You left us in the dark. I can't explain everything now. Just trust me, please. Her hands shook as they hovered between us, a bridge between past and present, fear and hope, love and abandonment. A soft whimper escaped Lily's lips, and my resolve crumbled. How could I expose her to this tempest? They didn't understand the treachery that spread through our lives like a fog, wrapping around our bones. Suddenly, with a crack, the distant shouts intensified, pulling the air tight around us. We need to go. Now. My mother urged again, glancing back at the encroaching shadows, but before I could respond, a voice roared from the hallway, an echo of authority mingled with malicious glee. Found you. It sneered, the intent lacing through its words like dew on tempered glass. My mother stepped into the light of the closet. I could no longer see her as the ghost of my childhood. She was real, flesh and blood, holding the keys to not only our past but our future, one weighed down by dangers I couldn't fully comprehend. That I had a choice. To step through that door into an uncertain future with a woman I barely recognized, or to close it again, sealing our fates within the safe cocoon of ignorance. The twins huddled closer to me, the warmth of their tiny frames amplifying the heat of decision coursing through my veins. At that moment, a semblance of clarity broke through the chaos. If we go with you, you promise to tell us everything? I asked, my heart racing as I looked into her eyes, searching for the flicker of truth. I swear, she nodded fervently. The sincerity caught me off guard, soothing the jagged edges of my heart. "Look out!" The anguished cry made my blood freeze, my resolve sparked as shadows loomed large, menacingly spilling into our shared sanctuary. In that split second, I turned towards the twins, my breath steadied in anticipation. "Hold on to me!" I yelled through the gathering storm, clutching the arms of Lily and Rose as we prepared to leap into the unknown. But just as we took the first steps towards her, a heavy boot crashed through the remnants of our fragile safety. The door splintered, the sound ringing through my skull, and I felt the world quake beneath the weight of realization. This was not just the return of a mother lost, it was an invocation of danger stoked by the ghosts of our past, and with the entrance of a new adversary, the light of hope flickered dangerously, its thread suspended in a balance that could be shattered with one wrong move. The weight of the moment pressed down on me, but somehow, I found the strength to push forward. As the heavy door crumbled under the assault, I felt the ground shift beneath my feet, a terrible realization spiraling into clarity. This wasn't just my past colliding with the present, it was an entire storm brewing in the shadows, one that threatened everything I loved. Go! I shouted into the swirling chaos, ushering my children toward my mother, who stood like a fragile beacon against the darkening hall. With pounding hearts and raw adrenaline, we rushed through the remnants of childhood fears, ducking beneath the chaos that seemingly had a life of its own. Each hesitant step drummed violently in my ears, the echoes of our footfalls reverberating like a countdown of impending doom. "Stay close!" I called out, gripping Lily's tiny hand while my other arm wrapped protectively around Rose. Their frightened eyes looked up at me, fluttering between trust and apprehension. I could feel the tension prickling in their skin, an unspoken fear clinging tighter than any embrace. As we raced down the hall, I glanced backward to see the silhouette of the intruder emerging like a specter from the shadows. A flash of recognition struck me. This man wasn't just someone from the recesses of my nightmares, he was a figure cloaked in enigma, a specter of a family history I had fought for so long to escape. "Richard!" My mother hissed, her voice edged with a mix of panic and defiance. "You shouldn't be here. What's the matter, dear sister?" His smile twisted, laced with malice, hanging in the air like a vulture waiting for its prey. "Thought you could leave all of this behind? We all know it doesn't work that way, please. It's not what you think." My mother's voice trembled as if every word bore the weight of an ancient grievance. "I did what I had to do for them," Richard's laughter echoed cruelly, cutting through the tension. "For them? You abandoned them. Just like you abandoned the rest of us." With quick, calculated steps, he advanced toward us, eyes gleaming with a manic glint. "You can't possibly protect them from what they don't understand. Get away from us." I screamed, taking a small step forward, an instinctive barrier against the wave of anxiety crashing against my mind. "You won't hurt them." In that instant, I realized the gravity of my situation. My past was not only chasing me down but was now threatening the very essence of my family. My mind raced, desperately seeking an escape while the very air around us grew thick with desperation. "Celeste," my mother whispered, her eyes darting between us. "The truth is more dangerous than you know. You need to trust me." But what truth could possibly weave its way into this cruel moment, binding us together amidst all this chaos? My heart pounded as if it was running a race it might never win. I turned to her, searching for a glint of understanding in her eyes. "You need to explain. What have you kept from me? Not now," she urged, shaking her head vigorously as Richard closed the distance. "We just need to get out of here alive," Lily whimpered, and Rose clutched at my waist. Their spirit anchored me, and as fear flickered in their eyes, I could not help but project calmness, even if it shattered into pieces inside me. "Well, figure it out," I whispered softly, running a comforting hand down their backs. "Run!" my mother shouted, creating a cavity of courage that filled the cracks of uncertainty in my heart. I could hear the footsteps of Richard booming behind us, but the familial bond, our shared need for survival, coiled like a spring, propelling us into motion. With a press of urgency, we dashed for the staircase that loomed ahead like a treacherous mountain path, instantly sweeping us away from the confrontation. Each step felt like a lullaby, a desperate hope propelling us towards something brighter, but as we climbed, an icy dread gripped me tighter, the realization that our escape was merely a delay aggravated by the baggage of our past, the path behind us littered with unresolved emotions and unburied secrets. I felt, at that moment, the shackles of legacy binding me. Where do we go now? I gasped, my breath heavy with fear. To the attic. My mother urged fiercely. We can barricade ourselves there. The attic? My heart briefly quickened with childhood memories, darkness and dust, hidden secrets in corners, fading stars painted on ceiling beams. But I didn't allow nostalgia to cloud my judgment. I focused on the moment and the safety of the girls. I nodded, biting back uncertainty while willing myself to be strong. As we reached the final corner leading to what felt like our salvation, a sudden noise sliced through the attic door, a loud thud, as if something heavy had landed nearby. Adrenaline coursed through my veins and I froze, locking eyes with my mother, communicating a silent acknowledgement of our predicament. An unexpected insult or threat echoed through my consciousness, a warning driven into my soul. The door sat ajar like an invitation to chaos, and my heart lurched with a sudden hunch, one that whispered of secrets waiting to be unraveled. Just when I thought I could grasp the threads of hope, as if to mock my resolve, I heard Richard's voice come through a low growl, slicing through the wood and seeping into my bones, a declaration made all the more chilling. You can run, Celeste, but you can never hide from the truth about your father and what he did. And with those words, the very fabric of my existence began to unravel, exposing threads that had long been buried in the depths of forgotten memories. And I realized in that heart-stopping moment that the tangled web of betrayal was woven far deeper than I could ever have imagined, and the revelation of my lineage was on the cusp of changing everything. As I stood frozen in place, the oppressive weight of Richard's words washed over me like a tidal wave, each syllable drenching the ground beneath my feet in dread. My heart raced, thrumming against my ribcage, threatening to break free. The attic door beckoned a passageway to safety, yet it now felt like a threshold to an abyss where all my fears loomed larger than life. Celeste. My mother's voice pierced through my turmoil, an urgent plea that pulled me from my spiraling thoughts. We have to move, now. I grasped Lily and rose tighter, their small frames trembling against me. In that moment, I wasn't just their mother, I was their protector, and yet, I felt as if I were the one who needed saving. The burden of my past collapsed upon me like a crumbling ceiling, threatening to bury my resolve beneath its heavy, suffocating stones. Come on. I urged, pushing forward, and motivated by instinct more than clarity. The flickering bulb overhead cast eerie shadows around us, the attic silence barely masking the chaos lurking just beyond the door. I could still hear Richard's taunting voice, echoing in my mind, entwined with hushed whispers of a life I had suppressed for so long. That we reached the attic door, and I swung it open with trembling hands, revealing a space congested with forgotten relics of childhood, a rocking horse poised to break into a gallop, dusty trunks spilling secrets beneath layers of clutter, and a window smeared with years of neglect. The air was thick, and I hesitated for a fraction of a second. What if this was a trap set by my uncle, one that led us deeper into darkness rather than away from it, Mom? Rose's voice was a thin thread woven with anxiety, pulling me back to reality. I looked down at her small face, eyes wide and desperate for assurance. Are we safe here? I knelt down, meeting her gaze with conviction, though my insides churned. Yes, my love. I promise we're safe, I whispered, hoping my words would shield her from the chaos outside. As we entered, my mother quickly began to clear a path, pushing aside old boxes and fading memories. Help me block the door, she exclaimed, a surprising surge of strength igniting her as she grabbed an old trunk, dragging it toward our meager barricade. Tremors of uncertainty danced across my skin, but I joined her, moving swiftly to secure our refuge. We piled debris high enough to form a fortress, though I knew even the highest walls would not shield us from the truth lurking in the shadows. Lily's small fingers tightened around mine. What did Uncle Richard mean? She hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. It ached to hear their innocence fracture. My heart squeezed mercilessly as I struggled to compose my own sense of reality amidst the unknown. You don't know, sweetie, I stammered, forcing an assurance I didn't truly possess. He's just trying to scare us, but doubt gnawed at me, whispering accusations in the corners of my mind. What if he spoke truth? The implications of my father's unspoken past spiraled rapidly, wrapping around my thoughts like ivy creeping up an ancient building. Each revelation felt like it would rip open a wound I had painstakingly tried to heal. Just then, the attic floor creaked ominously beneath me, and I turned to see my mother peering through a small crack in one of the window panes, her brows furrowed with concern. "What if he finds us?" she said softly, the once confident woman now cast back into the role of the frightened girl I remembered from those childhood tales. "That won't happen," I responded firmly, though the tremor in my own voice betrayed me. "Well, think of something." "We always do." Through the crack, I could just make out the silhouette of Richard pacing below, his shadow dancing against the worn floorboards. The cries of the night seemed far away from this hidden world. We were suspended in time, wrapped in a blanket of uncertainty, yet strikingly close to the threads of each other's hearts. Suddenly, the attic door rattled and my breath caught in my throat. Richard's voice slipped through the door like venom. "You think you can hide? The truth can't be barricaded away. Are you so blind to the legacy left behind? It's bigger than your tiny world, Celeste." Each word lands like a physical blow, resonating through our hidden alcove, stretching the seams of my sanity. My mother clenched her fists at her sides as if her very skin could tear from the strain of suppressed emotion. "He's a monster," she muttered, her voice full of unresolved pain. "Then let's confront him," I said, a surge of anger igniting my spirit, fueled by the prospect of uncovering the past that deformed our present. "If he wants the truth, let's give it to him." But before I could say another word, a heavy thump reverberated through the floor. The attic trembled as Richard's fists connected with the door, sending tremors throughout our sanctuary. "Celeste!" my mother cried, fear coloring her tone. "Stay back. He won't hesitate to break through." A pang of panic surged within me. My heart raced, a wild animal clawing against the confines of my chest. The door felt like a fragile barrier between us and the storm outside. "We can't let him in," I shouted, knowing now that this confrontation was more than survival. It was about secrets that could reshape the very foundation of our family. Another hit, and I could see splinters of wood begin to break free. Desperation ignited as I gathered both girls close, igniting a protective fire deep within my bones. "We need to find answers. Now." "Wait," my mother implored, panic woven with urgency. "If you touch that door, you might not be able to come back." "I have to know," I replied, my resolve hardening despite the fear clawing at my insides. "I can't let this remain an unanswered question any longer." And just as I steeled myself for the next moment, the door flew open amidst a shower of wood shards, revealing Richard's figure, a dark silhouette contrasted against the light flooding in from the hallway, a specter of my tumultuous past, waiting to strip away every last morsel of certainty. In that moment of revelation, I understood that my world was on the brink of igniting with flames of betrayal, and I had to decide, would I step into the blaze, or would I allow the darkness to consume us all? "Ready or not, Celeste," Richard sneered, "it's time to learn the truth." The moment Richard stepped into the attic, the warmth of the room dissipated, replaced by an icy dread that wrapped around my spine like a vice. My mind raced, frantically sifting through memories, desperate to find any shard of reassurance, but all I felt was the undeniable truth that we were teetering on the edge of something unfathomable. "Stand back," I shouted, instinctively shifting to shield Lily and Rose, who huddled behind me, their tiny hands clutching at the back of my shirt. Flashes of laughter and carefree days vanished from my mind, transmuted by the chilling danger of this night. "What are you going to do? Try and fight me?" Richard's voice dripped with mockery as he stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with a manic ferocity that sent icy tendrils of fear spiraling through my core. "You can't hide from your past, Celeste. It's a part of you and it's time you own it. Stay away from us." I caught myself yelling, heart hammering against my ribcage like a war drum, desperate to prevent history from repeating itself. Richard's presence was a phantom, lurking in the corners of my memories, always ready to extract the bitter truth from the shadows of my past. "Well, you can't run forever," he prodded, taking a step closer, and for a moment, I wanted to retreat into the debris, into my own mind, anywhere that would hide the suffocating weight of his accusations. Yet, there was another fire raging inside me, ignited by the fierce love I felt for my girls. They wouldn't become victims of this legacy, not if I could help it. Enough. My mother's determined voice surged with unexpected strength. She emerged from the shadows beside me, her eyes steely and resolute. This is not your place, Richard. You have no right to terrorize us with your lies. Richard's demeanor wavered for a fleeting moment, eyebrows furrowing as if he hadn't anticipated her defiance. Lies? Or truths you can't bear to confront? The sinister smile returned, sharpening the edges of his face into something almost unrecognizable. Stop it. Rose whimpered, trembling behind me. It shattered my resolve, pulling at my heartstrings. My little girl shouldn't have to witness this wrath, not when the arms of childhood were supposed to shield her from monsters like him. Richard, what do you want? I demanded, trying to inject a note of authority into my voice. This isn't just your game anymore. You're endangering your own family. He paused, a flicker of surprise crossing his features. Family? You made your choice a long time ago, Celeste. But one day, you'll see that the truth in all its hurtful glory will always find a way to emerge. Stop twisting the narrative. My mother shouted, her voice shaking but resolute. We're not afraid of you, we're not afraid of the past. Maybe not, but you should be afraid of what the past has done to you, Richard countered, his tone plunging into dangerous territory. Did you really think it would stay buried? Secrets crawl, Celeste. With that, time seemed to stretch like a taut wire, leaving us suspended in a harrowing limbo between fear and the yearning for truth. I steadied my breath, digging deep to find the courage I had cultivated for years. If there are secrets, then let's uncover them together without this aggression. No more nightmares. Richard's gaze darted momentarily to the twins, a flicker of something in his eyes, maybe doubt or regret. Then just as swiftly, he masked it with indifference. You think this is a negotiation? You'll see the truth is never that kind. With those last words echoing ominously around us, he turned abruptly, retreating back into the dimly lit corridor. The creak of the attic door swung closed behind him, leaving us encapsulated in silence, the air heavy with the ramifications of his threat. As the echo of his footsteps faded, I whirled around, urgency flooding my veins. We have to strategize. Whatever he knows, whatever he's planning, we need to stay one step ahead. Lily and Rose were pale, clinging to each other, but I felt a flicker of resilience bubbling beneath the surface. I knelt in front of them, forcing a smile. We're not going to let it break us. We're stronger than he thinks. Can we leave this place? Lily asked, her small voice quaking with fear. I hesitated. I don't know if we can just yet, I admitted. The attic had become more than just a refuge, it was a crucible forging our resilience. But we'll find a way. We're safe here for now. As I faced my mother, we shared a silent understanding. We were on the cusp of a reckoning, one that could unearth the buried truth of our family. But just as hope began to flicker with the thought of preparing for a fight, a soft thud penetrated the still air, the rug on the floor shifted slightly, revealing something glimmering beneath an old locket, intricately detailed. It caught the light reluctantly, as if it bore witness to the years of silence. Where did this come from? My mother asked with a confused expression, bending down to retrieve it. The moment she clasped it in her hand, a series of faint whispers floated through the air, hovering just beyond the grasp of comprehension. Mom, what's wrong? Rose asked, her eyes wide, feeling the shift beneath our feet. My heart dropped as I realized the impossible. This locket might carry the key to unlocking every lingering damning question hanging in our air. The weight of the past shifted, leaning perilously toward us. My mother's fingers hovered above the locket, trembling, as new edges of our family's pain folded into one another. Celeste, I think, it may not just be a locket, she murmured, fear mingling with something akin to hope, complicating the air between us. And at that moment, before the full revelation could unfold, the attic door flew open once more. Richard appeared again, a glint of something sinister in his eyes, that promised everything we feared. Did I forget to mention, he announced, a sneer curling his lips, that the past has an undeniable way of catching up to you. With his presence looming, the fragile barrier we had built felt doomed, and a chilling certainty settled over my heart. The true nightmare was beginning to unravel, and in its wake lay the heartbreaking secrets we never thought we would have to face. The locket lay heavy in my mother's palm, shimmering with a hope that felt almost cruel under the weight of Richard's presence. I could see the winds of change stirring within her, flickering like a candle on the verge of extinguishing. For a moment, all I could do was stand frozen, heart racing, grappling with an instinct to protect my daughters from the cruel reality that was winding around us. The air became electric, charged with the fear of what we might unearth. But Richard's look predatory, gloating pulled me back into the present, reminding me that we were far from safe. "That I am giving you a chance," Richard said, his voice oozing with condescension, flicking his gaze between the locket and my mother. "I didn't come here just to play with shadows. You know what lies within that old piece of junk, don't you? Don't you dare speak to her like that," I shouted, stepping between them instinctively. I could feel my mother's timid strength faltering behind me, but I had to stand for her and for Lily and Rose. "He's just trying to frighten us," my mother said softly, her voice shaky but steadying. "Whatever that locket holds, we can face it together. We've dealt with worse." Richard's laughter sliced through the air. "Together? You've always lied to yourselves, hidden behind illusions of strength. You have no idea what you're inviting back into your lives." He took a menacing step forward, aiming directly at my girls, who huddled together, eyes wide with confusion and terror. "You should really be afraid of the truth. It has a way of devouring everything you love." "Stop it!" Lily cried, curling into Rose as if her sister was the only safe harbor she had left. That I turned to them, feeling the urgency surge. "Well, figure this out. Together. No matter what it is, we'll face it." My heart ached at their fear, the crippling longing to protect their innocence clashing against the looming specter of the past. But Richard wasn't done. "You think you can pretend this is just another family drama?" He leaned in, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial whisper that made my skin crawl. "Imagine what would happen if they found out, if the world learned the truth about your precious family." His words were toxic, invading my mind, but I couldn't let him poison our hope. Biting back the bitter taste of fear rising in my throat, I grasped my mother's arm. "What don't we know? Why do you care so much about us knowing our past?" Her eyes darted to the locket, the moment slipping into despair, as though she was weighing each possibility. "We need to open it," she declared, her voice strained, suddenly defiant. "Whatever's inside, we need to confront it, not just for us, but for our daughters." The energy shifted, subtly, as though the shadows in the corners were leaning closer, waiting for the moment the silence would rupture. Richard's eyes darkened, a smile missing from his lips. "This wasn't a game anymore. It was personal." "That I'd think twice before doing that," he warned, an icy chill threading through his tone. "Once you've peeled back the layers, there's no looking back. Secrets are what bind families, but they can also tear them to shreds. We'd rather face the fragments than pretend they don't exist," my mother fired back, a strength rising within her that I recognized. It was a fearsome tenacity I wished would envelop us all. Richard's visage cracked for just an instant, a flicker of uncertainty destabilizing the facade he wore so well. But it was gone in a heartbeat, replaced by a maniacal grin stretching across his face. "You think you're ready? It'll give you a little taste of what's waiting if it's the truth you seek." With those chilling words, he spun towards the door, the creak of the ancient hinges echoing ominously around us. "A little advice though," he called back over his shoulder, the threat lacing his parting words, "be careful what you wish for. Something wicked waits beyond your understanding." With that, the door slammed shut, shaking the very foundation of the attic as dread coiled in my gut like a predator poised to pounce. The silence stretched painfully, laden with more questions than answers, more heat. Then warmth, leaving us standing amid the ruins of our family history, the locket gleaming like a beacon of uncertainty. "What should we do now?" Rose whispered, her face pale, looking to me for guidance, reliance streaming from her innocent eyes. I clenched my jaw against the swell of fear, the desire to keep her sheltered and protected battling against the need for revelation. "We need to open the locket," I finally said, my voice uncertain but resolute. "Whatever Richard says, whatever truths it may unlock, we have to confront it. For you both, for us. We can't bury it again." We need clarity. My mother's hand tightened around the locket, and I saw a shimmer of resolve rekindling within her. Yes, she said, her voice gaining strength, we must face our past to embrace our future. As she released the delicate clasp, a tangible tension filled the room. The air crackled with promise and dread, and just as she opened the locket, a startling crash rumbled from below, shaking our very souls. "Mom! What was that?" Lily cried, clutching Rose tighter. A horrifying realization washed over me, threading deeper into my consciousness. Richard wouldn't stop. This wasn't just a confrontation, it was a promise of retribution. We were at the edge of a storm, and the tempest was about to swallow us whole. As the locket swung open, its contents nestled within were nothing short of shocking. In that fragile, metallic sanctuary lay not just memories but a truth waiting to resurface, a truth that could either ruin us or set us free. But before we could even fathom the revelations swirling within, another crashing sound echoed through the house, signaling that nothing would ever be the same again. My heart raced as I locked eyes with my mother, fear and determination igniting the air around us. We had crossed an irreversible threshold, and there would be no turning back. As the locket sprang open, time seemed to suspend itself, the world outside muted by the chaos of what was about to unfold. Nestled within, cradled between the intricate metalwork, lay a delicate piece of paper, yellowed with age and fraying at the edges. My mother's hand trembled as she lifted it from the small space, an echo of some long-forgotten secret waiting to resurface. Celeste, her voice cracked like a fragile porcelain in the sudden silence, and I could feel the weight of her memories settle between us. I realized then that this wasn't about us alone anymore. This was a culmination of everything that had haunted her, a passage of pain that stemmed from decisions we had yet to comprehend. "Open it," I whispered, my heart pounding against the cage of my ribs. Rose and Lily huddled closer, their little bodies radiating warmth against the skin of my arm, seeking safety in the embrace of innocence that felt so vulnerable in this moment. With a deep breath, my mother unfolded the paper carefully, revealing an aged letter, its words curling in on themselves, written in a script that felt both foreign and eerily familiar. I leaned in closer, the locket dangling forgotten in my hands as curiosity and dread coiled together. "Dear Celeste," my mother read aloud, her voice trembling with each syllable. "If you are reading this, it means I have failed to protect you. There are secrets within our family that cannot be silenced. Your father." The breath caught in my throat at the mention of my father, a man wrapped in shadows, his name spoken like a ghost haunting the edges of memory. I could feel my mother gather strength, her eyes darting between us as if searching for assurance. He was involved in something dangerous, something that connected us all to Richard. The very name sent a shiver down my spine, drawing a sweeping circle back to the confrontation we had just faced. "What did he do?" I pressed, my heart racing as if anticipating the reveal would change everything. "The clarity I sought lay in fragments I barely grasped, things I tried to protect you from," she continued, voice carefully steady. "He got involved in dark dealings, matters that led him to sacrifice everything including us. Richard forges lies upon lies, twisted family ties that can eat away at our resolve if we allow them to. What could be so dangerous?" I asked, my own voice faltering with the weight of the unknown, but the tremor in my mother's hands was palpable, echoing the rise and fall of my own pulse. "This letter speaks of a pact, a legacy tied to something much larger. There's a hidden truth buried deeper than we imagined, involving our family's past, truths that must be revealed if we are ever to reclaim our lives." She paused, as if the words were heavy stones resting on her tongue. Richard had woven a tapestry of fear that tethered us then. But now, unleashed in the dim light of the attic, words bled into something deeper, an invitation to unearth the monsters that had haunted our family for generations. The shadows seemed to shift around us, a whisper of Richard's menacing figure lingering in the air. But my mother squared her shoulders, determination sweeping across her features. "We cannot let this fear chain us down. Whatever he's brewing, whatever darkness he threatens to unleash, we must confront it together." Before I could respond, the ground shook with a heavy thud, echoing Richard's approach as he returned to disrupt our fragile tapestry of resolve. My heart raced once more. "He's coming, then we have no time to waste." My mother clutched the letter, setting her jaw with newfound resolve. We can use what we've learned. Whatever secrets lurk joylessly behind Richard's veiled threats can be our shield. With my breath caught in my throat, I felt the twins clutching my sides, their small forms radiating strength with their innocent trust. This very moment, this breaking of the chains clinging to our hearts, would become our reckoning. As my mother folded the letter with careful hands, the attic's once familiar contours shifted, shimmering with the echoes of shared familial trauma that now united us. "Let's head downstairs," I urged, steeling myself for both the confrontation with Richard and the swirling uncertainty that awaited us. "Well, face him together. We have the truth on our side." We hurried down the attic stairs with purpose, our steps gaining momentum as they surged through the dimly lit corridor into the heart of the house. Each thud of our feet echoed resilience, a heartbeat in sync, drowning out our fears with the echo of hope. But as we reached the threshold of the living room, everything froze at the sight of Richard standing by the shattered pieces of my past, dark eyes glimmering with twisted pleasure. "Did you enjoy the letters? The truths you're trying to piece together?" "Enough, Richard." My mother called, steadiness lacing her words despite the tremor in the air. "You can't terrorize us with ghosts of the past anymore." "Oh, my dear sister," he smirked, his voice dripping with derision, "you know nothing of the past. You're playing with fire without knowing your own lineage, the darkness I once kept at bay. But I assure you, light will do little to protect you. Let us decide our future," I shot back, glancing at my mother and the twins snuggled beside me. This would be a battle of wills, of shadows vying to consume innocence. We could shatter any illusion he awakened. Before Rachel responded, an unexpected sound echoed. The doorbell rang, slicing through the tension, unexpected and jarring. Richard's gaze flickered toward the door, a brief flicker of uncertainty threading his practiced arrogance. "Who could that be?" Rose whispered, eyes wide and trembling again. "Stay behind me," I murmured, pushing the twins closer to my side, a reflex birthed from instinct and love. Richard took a step back, confusion twisting his features momentarily. "This isn't over, Celeste," he growled, his expression darkening. "You can't escape the legacy bound within you. After all, you must remember I'll always be watching." Then, as swiftly as he had appeared, he vanished into the recesses of the house, leaving the air thick with tension, a residual echo of his intentions lingering like clouds before a storm. But the doorbell echoed again, urgent and demanding. For a moment, I felt lost in a sea of questions, 1,000 unasked in the wake of this event. "Who is it?" I asked, pushing towards the door. "We need to find out." With each step forward, a sense of newfound allegiance pulsed through us, the locket in my mother's hands a symbol of a family transcending even the most tumultuous history. My heart raced. I would either unlock the thunderclouds of this truth or be swept aside in the chaos that had become our reality. With a glance at my mother and the twins, filled with resolve, I opened the door, ready to embrace whatever lay beyond. And there, framed in the courtyard light, stood a figure, one I never thought I would see again. "Mom." It was a voice I recognized too well but hadn't heard in years. "I've come to help you." And as our eyes locked, the air crackled with what felt like the beginning of a new story, a symbol of reunion, a whisper of redemption blooming in the cracks of our shattered world. Suddenly, the ripples of every family tragedy condensed into a single moment. "It was time for closure. I am home," I whispered, clinging tightly to hope, realizing that sometimes, darkness washes away the dust of secrets to usher in the light once more. And in that emotional finale, I understood that we were ready to confront the monsters of our past, together whole once more, woven into the shared fabric of our lives. There beneath the shadows lay the strength of our journey, a heartbreaking secret transformed into a testament of love in the face of adversity. Together, we would rise anew.